I got something to show you. Thank you to the lads in Camera World for helping me out with this. It's been a while since I've purchased the light, and I'm sick of soft boxes and small little lights, so I got myself one with barn doors. Let's unopen it. Stop doing this. Second boxes are not needed. Press the set button. Oh, okay. Oh, that is much better. Okay. Hi, and welcome to my video again, this time with less stuttering. Today we're going to tackle a bit of a awkward topic for me, because I didn't encounter this until recently, and that is analyzing your work. It's there. Yeah, analyzing your work is never a bad thing, unless you overdo it, or in my case, offer your prints to a client and they say try again, and definitely doesn't hurt my inner professional button pusher. Anyway, and to avoid that situation, just stick to the end of the video and you'll see how to improve your photography. Now, there are 3 steps to this. These 3 steps are very crucial to photography in general. I kind of took these steps for granted. I was like, it's grand, you know. Some things are just gonna be there and you're gonna be able to shoot it. You press the button and it's there, and it looks great in a viewfinder or on your LCD screen on your camera. But when you put it on the computer, it's boom. It's overexposed, not in focus. You just see a lot of shaky movements in it. And today we're gonna just go through those 3 basic steps, because that's all you need to improve your photography, is just stick to the basics. I'm gonna go for a very cliche one, is shoot manual. Always shoot manual if you're looking to do something for a client, unless you're doing it for yourself. I cannot stress this enough. Shoot manual. Shooting manual is just a better way, because you can adjust the settings of your camera to fit your vision a little bit more, and all it'll do is you're gonna have to spend a little more time before you take the picture to adjust it and make sure that that vision that you want comes true. This includes manual focus. Yes, manual focus. Stop shooting in auto. Not gonna help you. You're taking a picture of your friend, are you? Too bad, it's focused on the pin that's on his jacket. You know, it's one of those things that you just kind of have to take a look at and take your time with it, because if you don't, you're going to end up with a bunch of results that you're just not going to like, because it's all over the place. Unless you are shooting sports. This is so shaky. Unless you are shooting sports. Okay, exposure. Now this will vary from person to person, whether you like your photos slightly darker, or if you like your photos slightly lighter, or if you like your photos just about right. Don't mess too much with this. Just don't mess too much with it. You mess too much with that, it fucks up your entire workflow. It's just gonna look like garbage. Unless your camera can really handle high ISOs, I don't see why you're touching your ISO. Put it at anything below 800, unless you're shooting nighttime. Put anything below 800 and leave it at that. The more you mess with the ISO, the more it's gonna mess up with your content. You're gonna get all these like colored noise everywhere, which is just not the same as film grain. Oh my god, I have to tell people, stop using ISO to get film grain. That's not film grain. That just looks like it looks like an old photo, but not in a good way. All you have to do to avoid this situation is skip an eye on this little bar. This little bar will do everything for you. See this little pointer here? Is it too much to the right? Bring it to the middle by lowering your ISO. Don't want to lower your ISO because you think that's a nice spot to have your ISO? Crank up the shutter speed. That will allow less light to come in, and since the ISO is just fake lighting that you're putting on your videos or photos, it's much better to just adjust the shutter speed. Now, if you don't want to adjust the shutter speed too much because you like a bit of movement in your photos, I would highly suggest then adjusting your f-stop or your aperture. That will let less light in, and you can still have movement in your photo if you want. For me, it's not a big deal. I just like taking the photo as it is. If I get capture movement in it, I capture movement. If I didn't capture movement, I didn't capture movement. Unless you want that shallow depth of field, do not, I repeat, do not touch the aperture, because that's going to change the entire composition of your photo. There's a photo I took a while back. I'm gonna see if I can find it. If I do, I'll flash it on the screen. If I don't, oh well. Where photo was completely perfect. Everything looked fantastic until I clicked and zoomed in a little bit to find out that the subject was actually not in focus. It was just, it looked in focus because it's such a shallow depth of field and it was so close to being perfect, but because I adjusted it slightly, it really altered the rest of it. So now, is it too far to the left? Literally just do the opposite steps of what I just told you. Don't bring up shutter speed, bring it down. Don't touch the ISO. I see you thinking that. Don't touch the ISO. It's not going past 800. Just bring down your shutter speed. But my subject is moving. Then I'm gonna have to contradict myself here and say then use the aperture to let a bit more light in, but don't go below 2.8 because that's just too much. You don't need that shallow depth of field. Even 3.4, even 3.5, you can get a nice shallow depth of field on a subject. Like at the moment I'm shooting at, let me just double check here. I'm shooting at 4, and that's just enough to blur out the background slightly. So yeah, just keep an eye on that bar down here. That bar here somewhere on your camera. It usually helps quite a bit. Now if it's too far to the right, just make sure it's darker. Now if you want to keep it more towards the bright side, there it goes in stops, so it's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if you want something a bit lighter, not so dark, not so even, I would go towards 1 each way. So if you want a little bit lighter, go 1 towards the light side, and if you want to go a little bit darker, 1 towards the dark side. It's always a nice kind of like addition that you can add to your photo. Now we're moving on to step 3. Tired of your photos looking like crap when you put it on a computer and it looks sharp as crap on your camera? You always put it on and it's like, oh, that looks crisp. Then you throw it on the computer and it looks like somebody just took their greasy little hands and just went all over it. And it just looks like downright garbage. What if I just told you that can be solved with one little formula? Just one math formula. Simple. It's nothing super hard either. You can do it in your head because it's multiplying by 2. So see your focal length. Like right now I'm shooting at 18. Now I can't really do it very well here because I am shooting a video, and videos don't matter with shutter speeds. Well, it does, but I'll explain it another time. So you see focal length. Let's say you're shooting at 50 mils and you need to get that subject sharp, and you need to make sure that no movement is captured. Now if you have 50 mil and you have your shutter speed at 50, any movement will be able to be spotted on it. Easy as. But if you take that and you take your shutter speed and you double it to what your focal length is, so let's say 50, you multiply that 100, so you do it's 1/100. That's a good spot. Now to really make sure that it stays that way, double it again, so it makes it a 1/200, and that's always a nice shutter speed to have. Is a take your focal length, double it, and then double it again. It just makes it so much sharper. It makes life so much easier, and you just end up with a very nice crisp photo, which is what you probably wanted in the first place, because nobody wants greasy hand photos. And if you do that and they're still blurry, what the hell are you doing? What are you shaking your camera to take pictures? Like, I don't know. Anyway, that's enough time for what I have today. That's all I have for today. Should you have any more questions towards this, just leave it in the comments below. And you never know, I might make a video on it. Well, we'll see you, and